Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Peter Llewellyn. I run the services at MedComms Networking.com. Information resources, services, activities for people who work in and around medical communications, medical education, medical publishing, and the associated businesses around the world. We do lots of video content. If you go to NetworkPharma TV, you'll find 500 videos or so, all aspects of MedComms type work. Importantly, one of the things I do is I try and provide information for people who would like to come and join the business. So maybe you want a job as a medical writer, account manager, editor, whatever. If you look at firstmedcommsjobs.com specifically, you'll find lots of resources, information, careers guides, and so on. I'm having a bit of fun at the moment, just talking to people across the business and talking about their personal journeys and what they're doing. Today, I'm joined by Anna. Anna, thank you very much for joining me. Just tell us who you are and where you are.
Hi, thanks, Peter. So yeah, I'm Anna King. I'm a medical writer at Ashfield MedComms.
Fantastic. Okay, so first question, just paint us a bit of a picture about Ashfield MedComms. What sort of organisation is that?
So it's a big organisation. The sort of parent company is called Initio, and they're made up of lots of medical communications agencies. One of which is Ashfield MedComms, which is who I work for.
Okay, and it's huge, isn't it? And you've got offices all over the world. I mean, I think it's worth making that point because as people are looking around MedComms, there's a range of sizes of agencies. Ashfield is Inizio, certainly Inizio is at
Yeah.
the top end of that, and Ashfield itself is a large agency group. Okay, so people can go and Google that, but it's important to just paint that little bit of a picture. I'd like, most interestingly today with you, is to look at the personal journey that you've gone through to get to where you are. So take me back to the beginning, back to uni days. You know, what were you thinking? How did you start off in this direction? I know you've got a little bit of a different story to many people, so tell us where it all started.
Yep. So as you say, I've got a bit of a circuitous route to
Right.
MedComms. So I started off doing a physics degree at Manchester University, and really enjoyed that. From there, I did a master's in sort of imaging, biomedical imaging,
Right.
and from that, um, did a PhD that was an interdisciplinary PhD between sort of physics, women's health, and pharmacy. So a
Right.
bit of everything. Um, and from there, decided that I really enjoyed the sort of medical side of science rather than the physics side of science. Um, and during my PhD as well, realised that I really liked, although I liked being in the lab, I was quite clumsy. So quite good
Clumsy,
at
did you say?
knocking
Right.
things
Clumsy.
over, ruining experiments. Um,
Okay.
so decided that I actually quite liked writing. I liked writing up my thesis. A lot of people that I speak to say, "Oh, writing your thesis at the end of your PhD is like horrendous." And I was like, "No, I actually quite enjoyed it."
Right.
So I liked
Okay.
doing that. I liked making posters. I liked going to conferences. So I thought, yeah, maybe I should look at science writing. I know that I want to do science, and I've realised that I quite like writing. So I then started looking for jobs where you could be, where you could do science and you could write. And one of the first jobs that came up was a patent attorney.
Right.
So I
Okay.
applied for that, and I did that for about 4 years, 4.5 years. Um, and the more I did it, although I enjoyed it, the more I did it, the less science I felt like I was doing and the more law I was doing. So it just wasn't quite enough science for me, or it wasn't the right type of science for me. Um, so I then started looking around and stumbled upon MedComms. And it's been sort of the perfect mix of science, cutting edge science, and writing. So you get all sorts of um, writing opportunities. So like abstracts, posters, manuscripts, bit of everything, which I really
Okay.
enjoy.
Just out of interest, and I laughed slightly there because it's amazing how many people say the same thing one way or another. I stumbled
Yeah.
into MedComms. Can you remember? Can I just tease out of you how you stumbled across? What were you looking for? What did you
Um,
find? What was? What,
I
can you
think
remember?
I think one or two of my friends were already doing MedComms, but they weren't very
Ah,
close
okay.
friends. So I'd sort of
Right.
heard about it, but didn't know what the job entailed. And then I started doing some Googling, and I think I actually stumbled across your materials and started looking there.
Right. Okay.
And that
Okay.
was where
Okay.
I first found it. But yeah, I wish I'd heard about it while I was doing my PhD, because I'd never heard about it.
Again, it's interesting how many people, when you get down to it, how many people have got a contact in the business. It's a friend or a friend of a friend or something, and it's quite interesting. I mean, obviously, what we're trying to do today, is talk more about the business and get people to understand more about the business and just put information out there. But still, a lot of people stumble across it or just know somebody, sort of
Yeah.
thing. So I find all that just a little bit interesting. But you were specifically looking for a writing and science communication job, weren't you? So I
Yeah.
guess you wouldn't have considered account management or whatever. You were looking at writing, you found the opportunity with the writing, and so you pursued that. So sorry, I think you might have just said that, but let's just reiterate. So your first job in MedComms as well was with Ashfield, which is where you still are. Yeah.
That's
So
right.
you went into the Ashfield training program. Can we just talk a bit about the Allegro Right program then, just so that
Yeah.
people get a bit of an insight into that? Because your company, I mean, a number of companies have formalized programs now, but the Allegro program is one of the bigger formal programs that there are. So just tell us a little bit about your experience of going into it and what's involved in that program. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably the main reason that I applied for Ashfield was because of the program, because I knew that
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that much about medical writing, so I thought at least that gives me an introduction. It gives me like a step in kind of thing.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, so I applied for the Allegro Write program halfway through the first lockdown, I think.
Right.
So I did the interview, and then there was an assessment. It's now an assessment day, but it was an assessment online session. Um, yeah, everything done virtually, everything done online. Never actually meeting anyone that you're going to work with. So yeah, so I did all of that, and joined the Allegro program. Was it February 2021, I think? Yeah, 2 years
Okay.
ago. So the program is a 6-week training course, which is pretty much 9 to 5 lectures, with your peers. So I think there was 21 or 22 of us that started the program. And they run like social activities and things like that. And yeah, a lot of training, telling you what MedComms is, what sort of things you'll be working on. You get a chance to work on different like manuscripts and posters, all with support from the team that are helping train you up. Um, After you've done the 8-week program, there's then 2 rotations. So there's 2 5-month rotations in 2 teams within Ashfield.
Right.
So I started off with the team I'm currently with, spent 5 months with them, and then rotated to another team where I work for 5 months. And it tends to be that you spend the first 5 months in either publications or medical affairs, and then the second 5 months in
Right.
the other branch of MedComms. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, so then at the end of the 5 months, the vast majority of people become medical writers and then get to pick which team they want to go to. So yeah, so I went back to the first rotation and I've been there ever since.
Okay. Okay. So a couple of points just for people listening to this. I mean, one of the points I always make to people is do ask these sorts of questions of the agencies you're talking to. The
Thank
training
you.
programs vary quite a lot,
Mhm.
and that's a relatively formalized, structured training program. And some agencies you wouldn't get that. You'd basically just be thrown in and learn on the job, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Albeit, I don't want to be misleading there, because most agencies now provide very good training, but the training is done in different sorts of ways. So I think you said, that's one of the things that attracted you to it, was the style of training program. So these are the sorts of questions people should ask when they come in. And just out of interest, I mean, how much did you feel, if I can ask you this, I mean, how much choice did you have as you're going through that program in terms of which direction you go in, or particularly towards the end, was there
Um,
quite a lot, or was it very much down to business sort of needs, and you actually just
it's
sort
a
of
bit
were
of both. So
encouraged
it
by
is
it? Bit of
conversations
both,
about
okay.
about business need as well. So
Okay.
if, I mean, they would only put you in a team for that you were, they would only put you in a rotation where there was business need anyway. So the vast
Yeah.
majority of the time you can pick between the rotations that you've done. Some people don't. Some people say, I didn't really like either rotation. Can I try a third team?
Right.
But
Okay.
yeah, it's very
Okay.
much a conversation between what you would like to do and what the business need is.
Okay.
But because
Which
it's
makes
such a
sense.
big
And
company, yeah,
exactly, exactly.
a lot
Ashfield's
of
quite a big company, so
flexibility.
quite a few teams. Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
point
exactly.
worth making. And
Hmm.
just to clarify that, I guess you joined during the pandemic. Everyone was remote, but as I
Hmm.
understand it, you are basically still working remotely. You're basically home based, aren't you? Yeah,
Yeah, so
and a lot.
Ashfields haven't really sort of mandated that you have to go into the office. It's very much a choice. So the offices are open. and quite a lot of people do go into the office, but quite a lot of people also still work from home, or some people do a couple of days in the office, a couple of days at home. So it's my choice to work from home because my commute's quite long, but also a lot of my team aren't based in Manchester. So there wouldn't be a lot of point me going into the office because none of my team would be there. But yeah, it's just personal choice. Quite a lot of people go in, quite a lot of people don't. It's not really been enforced, which is quite nice.
Good. But again, it's interesting. Working practice have changed a little bit. I mean, I know MedComms was sort of going down this line anyway pre-pandemic, but the pandemic pushing everybody out has opened up a lot more opportunity for people to work remotely and so on. And a lot of people who were a bit unsure about it have discovered that actually it works quite well. And there are some advantages, although it is getting the balance right for an individual can be a little bit difficult, I think, when you're in an organization, you're trying to keep everybody happy. But anyway, so you're working at home and obviously happily so. Can you just, a couple of minutes, I think when we first started talking, you were talking about you working on a publications-based account. Just in general terms, can you just, for people who don't quite know what that means, can you just talk a little bit about what the outputs are, what your role is, the different, and give us some tangible examples, as it were, of the sorts of work that you work on?
Yeah, so on a day-to-day basis, I tend to prepare like journal articles. So that involves me getting data from the client, coming up with a story, writing it, getting the graphs figured, getting the graphs and tables sorted out, things like that. Maybe some small data interpretation, but yeah, basically making an overall story, putting together this manuscript, sending it out to the client, getting their comments back on it, taking their comments in, and we do that a couple of times until they're happy with the manuscript, and it then gets submitted to the journal. We also work on abstracts to submit to conferences or congresses, and posters as well for congresses. We are also, so the account that I work on has traditionally been quite publications heavy, but we are sort of branching out towards medical affairs at the minute as well, which is more the materials for congresses. So more posters, more presentations. We're doing some symposia at the minute. Yeah, things like that. So a bit of everything.
Okay. And working on those, and we're basically talking about peer review type publications, aren't we, when you're talking about the journal? So presumably quite a lot of liaison with, you're supporting the authors, the opinion leaders, the investigators and so on. So the client's involved, but also importantly, the authors are involved,
Yeah. So we've got authors. The vast majority of the authors are doctors. You also get occasionally academics, and people that work for the company as well. For the client.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a bit
Just
of
out of
everything.
interest, one of the points that's often made, and would you agree with this? I guess I'm trying not to put words in your mouth, but so disagree with me if you like. But one of the points that's often made to people who are coming out of academia, say with your PhD background and so on, is that you need to understand that you're probably used to writing your own paper. And being responsible for your own data, sort of thing. Whereas the role you're in now is much more supporting the authors. It's not your paper. I guess probably contributorship models say that you will be acknowledged somewhere or something, but but you are supporting someone else. It's not you writing your data. And did you find that in any way a difficult transition to make?
No, I quite enjoy that because it means that you get, so particularly on the account that I work on, we work on a lot of different products. So it means that you get data from all sorts of different areas. And that's what I find interesting. I guess slightly different
The fun
from,
is the variety.
yeah, I guess slightly different from the PhD where you're just working on one particular thing for 3 or 4 years. This way, like just today, for example, I've worked on 3 different therapy areas already just today, which I enjoy because, yeah, it means that you get some variety.
Okay. Just out of interest, can you remember coming into Ashfield? Maybe this is putting you on the spot. Coming into Ashfield, I suppose what I'm interested always is, did you find it as you expected, or was there something unexpected? I just wonder whether you've got
I
any.
think there was
Can you
more
remember?
variety than I was expecting.
Okay.
So I thought the job of medical writer was just going to be to write manuscripts, just journal articles. And I quite like that there's so much more variety than I thought. Because you've got not just your journal articles, but your abstracts, all of your presentations for congresses, posters, and other things like they're called. Like, so at the minute I'm writing a question and answer document that you would give to sort of pharmaceutical reps to then speak to doctors about. Just the variety. There's so much more to it than just writing a journal article.
That's interesting. So there's a much more variety of what you write, but also I mean, one of the things I say to people. So again, I'm looking to you to just agree with me, but disagree with me if you like. Is that because people think I'm going to go into a medical writer, so all I'm going to do is sit at a desk and write. Whereas actually, there's just so many more different things involved in the job. Whether it's you've touched on liaising with clients or liaising with authors or going to conferences, or there's a multidisciplinary team within the organisation. It's not just sitting in a darkened room at a desk writing, is it? I think that's an important
No,
message to get out there.
no, definitely not. And quite a lot of my colleagues go to congresses multiple times a year in all sorts of nice places. So no, it's definitely
And
not
some
just
not
sitting
so
at a
nice.
desk
Let's
writing.
be honest
Yeah,
about
some
it.
not so
Some are
nice,
not so nice.
some lovely
Yeah.
places.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So look, just because we always run out of time, and I'm enjoying myself, but I do need to draw a line. But just if you were faced with somebody, like if I was a fresh faced person just coming on, going, I think this sounds like great fun. What sort of advice would you be giving me as someone who's potentially coming into medical writing? Have you got a word of advice for me?
I would say that if you like medical stuff, if you like writing, if you like science, then it's the right job for you. But I guess I would reinforce how much writing skills you actually need. But yeah, you can't, oh, I'm not sure I'm saying this right. You can't sort of approach it half-heartedly. There is a lot of
Right.
writing, but that's what I enjoy. And if that's what you enjoy, then it's a
But
good job for you.
I guess, I mean, one of the things again, I think you said, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said quite clearly, actually, you enjoyed writing your thesis. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just one of those things that stands out quite a lot when you talk to medical writers in this business. They tend to say that sort of a thing,
yeah, they
and
enjoy
they
it.
tend to be saying it a bit like you said it. I liked it, whereas my friends didn't like it, sort of thing. So, and then I think one of the things I say to potential writers is, and an agency doesn't expect you to be a medical writer when you join. That's not the point. But they're looking for the interest and the aptitude and so on. And enjoying writing your thesis is a good starting point. But then the training within a company like Ashfield is very, very good.
Yeah,
And whether it's a formalized program like yours or some of the other sorts of programs that are around, they will teach you to write. But you've got to sort of have a basic desire to
you've got to have a love of it. Yeah.
and an ability. Yeah. Okay. Look. Okay. We could talk for longer, but I shouldn't. So look, I'm going to say a huge thank you to you for joining me. I think it's just interesting hearing what you're talking about, and the enthusiasm that comes across in these conversations is always great. So I hope people listening to this know that there's a great career opportunity here. I do want to make the point to everybody. I know I can with you that if people are interested, they can join up, reach out to you on LinkedIn or something. That's the
Yeah,
easy way.
cool.
But reach out to you to talk to you, and you can help offer some advice. If I can help anybody, medcommsnetworking.com, or you're welcome to contact me directly. But basically, Anna, thank you so much for joining in the conversation today. So just a little wave and say goodbye. Bye bye.